There are a few new updates for Christopher Nolan's next film, and it looks like the director has his two main leads, a release date, and a potential setting in mind for the project. We also know the studio that he's going to be working at, and a few other rumours that have come out as well. The updates themselves have mostly come from legitimate sources like Deadline and The Hollywood Reporter, minus one that comes from a less prominent source, which I will be going into. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing what has come out, what I think towards the news, and what we could be looking at with Nolan's next film. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more content on the director and his future projects, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the new updates surrounding Christopher Nolan's next movie. So ever since the massive success of Oppenheimer, we've been talking about what director Christopher Nolan might do for his next project, and we've been wondering when we would actually get updates over what that is. Well, over the last week or so, we have finally had some big updates for his next movie, and this has included casting announcements, a release date, and further details of what we might expect. A week ago, Deadline reported that Christopher Nolan had cast Matt Damon in a lead role for his new film, and that he would be making the project at Universal Pictures. Of course, there had been rumours that he would be working with both Universal and his former studio Warner Brothers, but it seems like he is sticking with Universal alone. The latest feature brings Nolan back together with the studio behind his acclaimed drama Oppenheimer, which catapulted him to significant Oscar success. He took home the award for Best Director and also secured a Best Picture trophy as a producer for the film, which raked in an impressive $980 million globally. Oppenheimer marks the filmmaker's inaugural collaboration with Universal, a partnership that emerged following Nolan's public departure from his longtime studio Warner Brothers back in late 2020. Although Oppenheimer was acquired by Universal through a competitive auction, this latest project was reportedly secured directly by the studio. And on top of learning the studio and lead actor for the next film, the same report revealed the official release date, which was confirmed as July 17th, 2026. This date is not unusual, as that period in July is a typical release timeframe for many of the director's projects. So after this big news, we wondered when we could get our next update. Well, that time has come, as The Hollywood Reporter has revealed another lead actor in Nolan's new film, alongside a hint of when the project is set. The other lead actor set to join Nolan's new movie is none other than Tom Holland, an actor who has yet to work with the filmmaker. The article mentions that the actor will be balancing this project alongside Spider-Man 4 next year and Avengers Doomsday. But with the actor previously saying that he wanted to break out into other projects and find a good footing there, landing a role in a Christopher Nolan movie is the dream move for him, so it will be a massive priority. It will be interesting to see how this casting turns out, because in my opinion, he's a great actor who just hasn't had the greatest of projects in recent years. So now getting possibly the best role outside of popular franchise fare under a filmmaker who gets the best out of every performer he works with is very promising for the actor's career. The final thing to note that was addressed in this same Hollywood Reporter article is that the outlet gave us a brief hint on the setting of the film. In their article, they wrote, "Plot details are being kept under wraps, but sources say that the setting is not present day, although it's unclear whether it's set in the past or the future." So we don't yet have a clear idea of what the film is, but what we do know is that it's not in the present, and that it will be set to some degree in either the past, the future, or both. So while they are all the official confirmed details for Nolan's next film, you're probably wondering what the less legitimate source is that I mentioned at the start of this video. Well, as the internet usually does, there's a rumour that is going around from what I consider to be a non-legitimate source, which social channels are spreading around as real news. The particular source in question is Gizmondo, who say they've heard that Nolan's next film with Tom Holland and Matt Damon is a period horror about vampires in the 1920s. Now, I don't believe this for 1 second, and that source spreading around the info is literally saying that they heard a rumour, which sources have been doing for over a year now. What's happened is, they've took the news from the Hollywood Reporter saying that the film is not in the present day, and they've made up a false rumour to get clicks. I hate to be that brash about it, but that is what I think we're seeing here. Now, what I will say is that Nolan's next film might indeed be a horror project because the director has gone on record talking about doing one, and typically his previous films touch on a theme or idea that he explores in more detail in the subsequent film. So thinking about the horror aspects of Oppenheimer and what the filmmaker has said about the horror genre, it could mean he tackles that genre next. But again, this article saying that it's a period film on vampires seems to be a far nothing burger. What this conversation does lead me into, however, is my own theories about what we could actually see, and by using the official information out there, we can try to work out certain details. One thing that came to my mind right away with the casting news was that what if Nolan has casted Matt Damon and Tom Holland in the same role? Many people were quick to say that this could be a father-son dynamic, but I looked at the news and wondered, what if they're both playing the same character, just years or time apart? I don't know, but that was something that came to my mind, and it also made me think about his Howard Hughes project that he worked on decades ago. Nolan had said many years ago that his Howard Hughes script was the best he'd ever wrote, and he didn't make that film at the time because of the scheduling conflicts with Martin Scorsese's The Aviator. In press for Oppenheimer, Nolan then said that writing that Hughes script gave him the confidence to write a film like Oppenheimer, so after the success of that, could he be looking at re-exploring that script and having Damon and Holland play the central character years apart? I don't know, but that was something that came to my mind, and I wouldn't mind seeing it after loving Oppenheimer as much as I did. The only thing that makes me pull back on that theory is the ending of Oppenheimer, as that film's final act with all the FBI investigations was inspired by what he originally wanted to explore in his Hughes biopic. On top of this, as he tackled a historical figure like Oppenheimer in his previous film, you'd think he'd want to mix it up for the next one and go with a very different genre. There's of course still a possibility, but that does seem quite unlikely. Now, my main predictions in the last year or so have been both a new take on an original horror film or an adaptation of the Prisoner TV show. But with the Prisoner idea being shut down a few weeks back, that only leaves me with a theory for a new horror film. So at this moment in time, I'm probably going to stick with that guess. The great thing about Nolan is that he completely shocks us with every film he makes. We have no idea of the direction he's going in, and I'm sure that'll be the case again with his upcoming project. What I will say is that the castings of Matt Damon and Tom Holland are excellent choices that I think can really excel under his direction. Matt Damon has proved how good he is in so many recent projects, and I think his performance in Oppenheimer was a really underrated one. So seeing him get one of the lead roles in Nolan's next picture is really exciting. And then Tom Holland is another great actor that just hasn't had the right projects, so you'd hope that under one of the greatest filmmakers working today, or in my opinion the greatest, that he can really deliver in it and have big success. Overall, it's going to be really interesting to see what direction Nolan goes in, and based on the reveal that filming is set to commence in early 2025, I think we're going to be finding out exactly what that project is very soon. I would expect that before January, we'd have an idea of what genre and story the filmmaker is tackling, and then soon after that, we should begin to get some set photos or updates from the production. But that was my video discussing all the new updates surrounding Christopher Nolan's next film. I'm really interested to see what Nolan tackles after Oppenheimer, what genre and idea that will be, and how he will put his stamp on it. The director is filming it early next year, so I think we'll get an idea of what he is making in the coming months. I still think it will be an original film, as that is the usual route he takes after making a film based on a real event or period of history. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he does do a horror movie in his own way, because that's something he has talked about doing. So we'll just have to see what route he goes in. But let me know down below in the comment section what you think towards these new updates, alongside what type of film you'd like to see next from the auteur blockbuster filmmaker. For much more content on Christopher Nolan and his future projects, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.